Matron, we are going to the morgue.
My register requires an entry concerning the purpose of your intrusion.
We are here to speak to Dr. McCabe in his capacity as principal officer of the coroner's inquest. We must stop meeting like this, Dr. McCabe.
I'd prefer a chin wag at my local over a pint and game of darts, but I doubt that's quite in your line.
You might be surprised. Inspector Lestrade has asked me to help identify the body that was pulled from the Thames. Is he on the slab?
I wish Lestrade had informed me of his intention. You know my practice in these matters.
Doctor, did your examination reveal anything else of interest?
Well, his lungs were in deplorable shape. Tobacco, I should think. Alcohol had begun to ravage his liver and kidneys. I would characterize his general condition as dilapidated.
I'd like to examine Sir Hubert's body again.
He's in number 2, Mr. Holmes, keeping cool.
Anything of significance, Watson?
Lestrade must have been desperate to call. How are even you to identify the unidentifiable?
My vanity believes he considers me to be the highest court of appeal in detection, but more likely I am his last resort. Observations, Doctor.
Undernourished, reasonably well-formed, white male, age between 30 and 40. No obvious physical abnormalities. Nicely shaped hands, showing no recent history of manual labour.
A description that might fit 200,000 men in Greater London.
You would add?
He was right-handed, an occasional painter, oils I think, suffered from dandruff and smoked heavily.
I see the ink on his index finger and paint under his nails. The dandruff is obvious, but I see no nicotine stains on his fingers.
Nor do I. Note the discoloration around what remains of his upper lip. That is not a powder burn. I assume he used a holder, or perhaps he smoked a pipe. Lestrade's missive suggests a problem of identification. Is it real or apparent?
Very real. Extremely difficult case from his point of view.
What can you tell me about this victim's cause of death?
The formal cause was a massive cerebral hemorrhage. The efficient cause were bullets of a large caliber fired from point-blank range.
Drowning and suicide can be dismissed then. I've been experimenting with ballistics. You have the bullets?
Useless fragments. I disposed of them. The large pieces must have passed through the cavernous exit wound.
Might I examine the body?
I know your methods, Mr. Holmes. Observation is your watchword.
Its corollary is that without knowledge, observation and deductions are worth nothing. Currently, I have very little knowledge. I hope to amend the deficiency. Could I see the victim's effects?
You know where I keep them, and it's only the clothes. He came in without shoes, and his pockets were empty.
Indeed. Most peculiar. Most interesting. One bullet would certainly have done the job, Doctor. Thoughts?
The killer was a vicious psychopath.
Likely, but incomplete, I think.
If you say so. My interests are with the victim. Yours reside in the murderer. I prefer my work.
I'll sign for the hat, Doctor. I'd like to take it with me. Dr. McCabe, please inform me if your examinations divulge anything of further interest.
I will indeed, Mr. Holmes, and vice versa, please.
You may depend upon it. Have you ever seen a tattoo like this one, Doctor?
Never. Not the usual subject matter. Anchors, lions, dragons, and such.
Indeed. A delicate Tudor rose, the emblem of England. The unique design, colours, and placement, overall quite remarkable. He wears the rose of youth upon him, the bard says.
I've always been partial to Antony and Cleopatra.
Has anybody come to view this victim, or any of your cases?
No recent visitors, Mr. Holmes. Not many seem to have your interest in the subject.
Why do you think the killer used 2 bullets, Watson?
An accident or fluke. There may be no cogent reason whatsoever.
Nonsense. It was intentional. He wished to complicate identification of the victim, but the killer also told us about himself. He wanted to punish as he killed. Why, I wonder?
That's grotesque, Holmes. Perhaps incompetence was the reason, or panic. You always suspect the worst of people.
It is a matter of no small regret, Watson, that many of my low, mean-spirited suspicions turn out to be well-founded. A highly unusual, if not unique, design. Comments, Doctor?
I will defer to your judgment, Holmes. I can't recall seeing anything like it in your monograph on tattoos and scarification.
I have some thoughts, but they can wait. What do you make of the victim's sodden garments, Watson?
Hardly a careful dresser. An office worker, I should think. Insurance, perhaps, or a banking clerk.
Excellent, Doctor. But what of his tie?
What tie?
Exactly, Watson. Where is his tie? Now, what do you make of the hat?
An extravagance, given his other clothing. Perhaps it reflects his ambition.
Interesting speculation, Doctor, but wrong. The hat does not belong to the victim. I believe it belongs to the man who killed him.
You will clarify that convoluted hypothesis at some later time, I hope.